good to hear myself play the guitar in the morning. Ah, what a lovely tune that is. Hello, everybody. Jake Johnson here. Welcome to Everything Wrong with Genesis, featuring the Friendly Atheist, hosted by yours truly, Jake Johnson. What's going on, everybody? Let's see who's in the chat. Hey, April, what's happening? You made it here on time. Woo-woo! Right. I have been watching this great movie from '77 called Bad Georgia Road. It's on YouTube, and I recommend it to anybody that wants a good time. It's kind of like the Dukes of Hazzard. Man, it's a funny movie. It's about a New York lady that inherits a farm, but on the farm there's a moonshine still and a couple of guys that run moonshine, and she has to come down from New York and face the country life. It's a great movie. Speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, did you know there was a Dukes of Hazzard before the Dukes of Hazzard? There's a movie from 1975 called Moonrunners, 1975. It's got Waylon Jennings as the balladeer telling the story. It's got a couple of moonshiners. They shoot bows and arrows, and they got an uncle, and they live on a farm. It is Dukes of Hazzard, only not. And it's more serious. It's not a comedy. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the Dukes of Hazzard was based on a movie. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, Kevin would love it. You would love it. You got the same sensibilities I have. I think you'd think it was hilarious. It's got a little love story in it too, you know, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. Pretty New York highfalutin lady falls in love with grease monkey, moonshine runner. It's got it all. It's called Bad Georgia Road. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free if you want to watch it. I'm watching it. I know. I was there. I was born in '74. And those are the best years this world has seen. From '74 to '90, I would say, are the best years in the world. How's your mama doing? Bad Georgia Road. Check it out. Has your mama been awake today at all? Is there anybody there with her? Oh, I know she's in pain. She's going to be for a few weeks. They cracked her chest open, didn't they? That don't heal very quickly. Especially at her age. But she'll pull through it. Her breathing is tough. Man. I want to call down there and talk to her, but I know she ain't going to want to talk. And that's not something I want to bother her with. I just assume she rest. Oh, go down the other way. That's better. Oh, is she talking? Well, if that's the case, then I'll call. I thought she was probably, you know, tube down her throat or something. I know it took probably a week before my dad could talk without wincing in agony when he went through it. Okay, send it on. I'll take it. All right. I got my champion belt on. I got my gloves tight, and I'm ready to rock and roll. You guys ready to get into it? Where's Kev at tonight? Here we go. She had that out when they moved her. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad. She's in better shape than I thought she was in then. Oh, hello, Kev. Let's get to it.
Genesis 26. The writers have completely forgotten about Jacob and Esau.
No, they haven't.
So instead, we'll discuss voyeurism, wells, and the return of the sister wife trick. Now, there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you."
It's almost like God knows what he's doing, right? It's almost like he's setting him up.
"For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed, because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions."
You see, this is a contract. You have to keep the commands, the decrees, and the instructions, or you don't get the reward that's promised you. It's not free. You have to do your part.
So Isaac stayed in Gerar. You can already tell they are reusing plot lines. There was a famine. Another famine. Not the famine we already told you about.
You realize we're talking about thousands of years ago. There were famines every other day. Food was kind of hard to come by. They didn't have a Walmart. They had to kill what they ate. And sometimes that's hard to do if you've ever hunted a day in your life. Judging by the softness of your hands there, I doubt very seriously you've ever held a knife or a gun. So I don't expect you to understand that, but it's not a repeat of a story. It's life. That's how it goes. Kind of like when you got to pay rent every month. You could say that you're just retelling the same story over and over again if you ever wrote that down, but that's life.
New one. God loves famines. You have to appreciate God's advice, though. Don't go to Egypt. The Pharaoh will probably murder you after what Abraham did to him, which he did because he obeyed me and did everything I required of him.
Nope, you're wrong there. Actually, Abraham and the Pharaoh left on good terms. If you remember correctly, they were friends when they left. He told him not to go into Egypt because there's a bad famine there right now and he won't survive. A lot of people died in Egypt during that time. Told him to stay over here where he could eat and have a place to live and not be subjugated to terror.
Maybe try somewhere else. Look at God emphasizing all the descendants again. He's like Trump bragging about the Electoral College. It never gets old for him, even when everyone else is so over it.
I didn't want to do this, but you brought it up. The Electoral College is the institute that elects a president. The media does not elect a president. The Associated Press, the Decision Desk, all of the little pundits, they do not have the power or the authority to elect a president. There is no President-elect Joe Biden at this moment, not until January, when they convene and they vote. Until then, it's in the courts because there was a lot of cheating going on both sides. And Trump, the guy you're ragging on, the only president we've ever had that didn't start a war and is actually bringing troops back to the country, that guy, he's trying to make sure that it's a fair election. And if Joe Biden wins fairly, so be it. He's our president. Until then, Trump is your president and mine. So get off your high horse.
And what would happen if Isaac said, "No, I'm not moving to this land"?
Isaac would shortly thereafter die. That's what would happen. You see, that's the consequence of not obeying your father, because your father knows more than you do. It's that way on this earth, and it's that way in heaven. He sees things you can't see. And when he tells you to do something, whether you like it or not, it's for your own good, Keep your mouth shut and do what you're told.
Would God not give him those descendants? Wouldn't that be a violation of the covenant God made with Abraham?
No, you remember those stipulations to the covenant? You know, keep my commandments and my precepts and my instructions, or whatever it said. That's how contracts work. A covenant is a promise. It's a contract between two people. Contracts can be broken.
It's not a promise if God keeps attaching new strings to it.
He didn't. Those are the strings that have been attached to every promise he's ever made. To anyone, ever. In any form, him or Jesus. You're just not paying attention. Because you want something for nothing. You want to sit there on your ass and let the world provide for you without picking yourself up by your bootstraps and making something of yourself.
When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She is my wife." He thought, the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebecca, because she is beautiful.
And you know, he's probably right, because that's the way men were in those days. It's probably a savvy thing he's doing, although it doesn't sound right in our time with our sensibilities, because we don't kill each other over women anymore. Very much. I'm just saying. Watch your wife.
Does everyone in this book use the same excuse? Abraham called Sarah his sister wife, and now Isaac is calling Rebecca the same thing. Like father, like husband, son.
If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
How does Abimelech fall for it again? You would think he would be on alert when someone says, "Oh, this woman next to me, she's my sister." That's a very specific thing to say.
And Abimelech, probably not being a stupid man, considering that he runs the place, probably rolled his eyes and goes, "Oh, here we go again." But you remember, him and Abraham left on good terms. They're not enemies. Matter of fact, Abimelech gave him land. So he probably knows who Isaac is.
How do you not remember this? The last guy got rich off the lie. What do you think will happen to this guy? Actually, some Bible scholars make sense of this by saying this is a different Abimelech than the one Abraham met.
Probably not. It's probably the same guy.
He just has the same name and runs the same kingdom as the other one. He's apparently just as gullible, too. And why do men keep asking strangers about their wives?
Well, you see, you remember how Abimelech, you remember how he acted when he found out that the woman was married? He was terrified. He was mortified. He thought he had done something wrong. He was scared God was going to curse him, because Abimelech is a follower of God, you see. And so he repented. He told everybody. He told his council. He told everybody that was around him, and he told Abraham, "I'm sorry. I didn't know she was married. I thought she was just your sister. I didn't touch her, but I'm sorry. Here, have some silver and gold to make up for my transgressions." Remember that? That's called remorse. That's what you do when you do something wrong. You be remorseful. And so they probably left on good terms. Now, here's Isaac, the son of Abraham, whom Abimelech probably knows, because he knows Isaac, because Abraham is one of his landowners. So he probably knows who this kid is. And he's probably thinking the same thing he's thinking last time. "Oh boy, here we go again. Don't worry, I'm not going to touch her."
That should be your cue not to move into the neighborhood. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebecca. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Here's what I want to know. If Isaac said Rebecca was his wife, would Abimelech have just kept silently watching? What sort of weird panopticon do they live in that Abimelech can just look outside his window and see different couples getting it on?
He can't, but he can see one because they were beneath his window getting it on. They didn't say that everybody was getting it on, just them. So in other words, he happened to see them being friendlier than normal, than a brother would to a sister, and he realized this is what's going on here. Notice he didn't try to get Rebecca into a harem. He didn't try to marry her. As a matter of fact, it didn't say that he even met her up until this point. So, I don't understand what your problem is with it. It is kind of the same story, but the same things did not occur. So,
I guess it's good we heard Abimelech speak up after catching Isaac in a lie. Otherwise, the scene would have been Abimelech staring out the window and saying, "What? I thought she was his sister." Alright, I guess I'll keep watching. Why not? Desperate times. Famines everywhere.
Man's got a harem. He doesn't need to watch. He just happened to walk by a window and see something. He wasn't oogling or, being a peeping Tom. He just saw them. They weren't making out, by the way. He was touching her, probably her face. You didn't do that back in those days, if it wasn't your wife.
Then Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." Well, I guess we should be grateful for the honesty. Come on, man, help us out. We're all trying to score with your sister here, not get in trouble with God.
Well, Rebecca was a smoking hottie, so that is the risk you take when you marry a hot wife.
So Abimelech gave orders to all the people. Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Right. Got that, everyone? She's not his sister. If you kill him or sleep with her, I'm bringing out the guillotine. Is it weird that calling for the death penalty here is meant to be the moral response? I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, considering if he'd have went in there under normal pretenses that wouldn't be the case, I'd say he probably made a smart move, because in his deception, he got the protection of the king, you see? Because the king's been through this before, he's wiser than the serpent. So when he realized what was going on, he put a protection, a hedge of protection, which is a type for what God does for his people, around Isaac and his wife, so that no man would disturb them. That's pretty smart if you ask me.
Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. I'm trying to understand the biblical economy here, and I can't. Some people get rich beyond their wildest dreams because they have an interesting idea, or maybe they're the first person to do something that other people only think about. But planting crops? You're telling me no one figured that one out until Isaac?
No, and the Bible doesn't say that. But you can make a very good living planting crops, because there's money in it. Especially with a famine going on. If you can manage to plant a crop that grows, you are the man, which is how he got rich. Remember the famine? That means there's no food. And because Isaac is blessed, his crops grow. That makes him the man that everybody wants to get food from. That's how he gets rich. Has nothing to do with economy. It has to do with being at the right place at the right time with the right blessing.
Really? How is that even a blessing? If you plant crops and water them, they'll grow.
Try it. Try it. Seriously. Get off your ass and plant a garden. Show me how it's done. I bet you couldn't do it. I bet your garden would fail. Now, if you happen to get lucky and know a few things or do the right research and learn a few things, the first thing you're going to notice, if your crop doesn't fail, is that you immediately had to learn a bunch of things you didn't think you had to know to keep that crop growing. And you had to put a whole lot more work into it than you initially thought. That's what you're going to learn. Farming ain't easy, friend.
It's not magic. You didn't need God for that one. Hats off to that act of revenge, though. We're gonna destroy your wealth by throwing dirt into your wells.
Oh, and by the way, you need God for every breath you take. Every single blink you have, every hair that grows on your head, every time you wake up in the morning, everything. You need God.
Sure, we could have just set fire to the crops or kidnapped your sister wife.
Yeah, sure, we could destroy the only source of food we have for spite. That might do something to him.
But, I don't know, we didn't think of those first. I just want to point out that Isaac became rich, and the Bible says he used that money to buy slaves. And none of you even noticed that because the Bible just constantly glosses over slavery like it's not a big deal.
No, I noticed it. I noticed it, and I read it, and I understood it. You didn't, because you still are trying to put today's sensibilities in yesterday's world. They had slaves in those days. They have slaves in these days too. Look around the world. There is active slavery happening right now in other countries, and some right here in America.
You should be ashamed of yourselves. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You have become too powerful for us." What are you doing? Keep the rich around and tax the hell out of them. None of these people are Bernie voters.
None of these people are crooked thieves.
So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar, where he settled. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. He named the wells. Lot's wife didn't get a name, but the wells do.
Lot's wife had a name. Moron. She just wasn't part of the story.
Shows you how much respect the Bible has for women. Isaac's servants dug in the valley.
Boy, you really get off on this down women thing, don't you? You do realize that most of the people who did things in the Bible were women. Read the rest of the Bible. There's a lot of women involved. Just not in this particular story. You're trying to make it sound like it's some kind of chauvinistic book, but it's not. God likes women. Men oppress women in those days because they were like property. That's how they saw them. That's how they were. They weren't able to hunt or kill or battle or anything like that, so they became wards of the men. That's how that world existed. This world is different than that world. But you see, one of Jesus' favorite person was a woman. He told her more than he told his own disciples, so much so that they got jealous of her. Lots of women have been used for great things in the Bible. Just read it. And get off your high horse. You're not fooling anybody with your, "Oh, I'm a white knight." Let me tell you something, son. Anytime, and I mean anytime, you find a man who claims to be an ally to women, who claims to just want to protect them and keep them safe from the men, you can start the clock on the rape charge. Mark my words. You are a wolf in sheep's clothing. Real men protect women. They don't take advantage of them.
And discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also, so he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." How come no one was fighting over Rehoboth?
Probably because they got tired of getting beat by God.
I don't get why that one is any different. From there, he went up to Beersheba. That night, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Don't you want Isaac to just respond with, "Oh, so you're the guy who told Daddy to murder me, you mother..." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There,
you notice how Isaac is doing the Lord's bidding? That's because he understood what happened when he was a child. I imagine they had lots of conversations about it. That's not something you just get over. But Isaac, being a good man of God, should tell you how that conversation worked out.
he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzith, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" Seriously, why does Abimelech keep showing up to places uninvited? He spies on people's sex lives without invitation, and now he's showing up to people's new homes. They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you."
Yeah, that Bernie thing is sinking in all of a sudden. Because they realized, hey, these people are blessed, and we're over here starving. Maybe we should not end our relationship entirely with these people, because they might come in handy.
"Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord."
And so they did, and so they will.
Oh, come on! They filled up his wells with mud. They spied on him in the bedroom. Now they're gaslighting him by saying they always treated him well, just to...
They did not spy on him in the bedroom, and they did not fill his wells up. The Philistines did, not Abimelech and his crew. Keep it straight. The Philistines are a different group of people, and they're jealous, and they're trying to stop this guy from being prosperous because they're not prosperous.
Get on God's good side? Give me a break. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We've found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. I'm pretty sure Beersheba has now been named like 8 separate times.
Well, you can still find it on a map, so that's something.
I can't believe the climax of this chapter is the discovery of water. But I'm kind of amused that the servants waited until the moment Abimelech's people left before telling him what they had found. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what you would do, because you don't want to put all your cards on the table. Learn to play some poker.
This is totally pedantic, I know. But this section keeps talking about how they're digging wells. But technically, by some definitions, it's not a well unless there's water inside.
Okay. How do you find water? By digging wells.
Which they don't know until they discover it. So they are not digging wells. They're digging holes that may become wells. This is why I have no friends.
You are correct, sir. Let's just take a minute and let that sink in. This is why you have no friends.
Anyway, remember the last chapter where Jacob and Esau had a rivalry brewing, and then we just completely ignored them? The writers must have just realized it, because in the last sentences of this chapter, they're going to pretend they didn't totally forget. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite.
Now you notice that we're on to a different story now. We're not talking about Isaac anymore. We're talking about Esau. It's not the same story.
And also Bashemeth, daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Esau grew up, found himself multiple wives, and everyone hated them. Way to bring that story full circle with a healthy dose of misogyny.
No misogyny. God hated Esau because he sold his birthright, because it wasn't important to him. The birthright is symbolic of the promise God made his people, not a bowl of soup, not whatever inheritance he gets from his daddy. He sold his birthright for a bowl of soup. He didn't care about it. Didn't mean anything to him. That's why God hated Esau.
Are Isaac and Rebekah mad because Esau married two women, or because the women are Hittites?
Because Isaac and Rebekah are not in this story. We're talking about Esau. Esau and Jacob. Different people.
Or because they're just unpleasant. We need more details. Remember that Rebekah already loved Jacob more. Esau is just a constant disappointment to her. That passage just said Bashemeth was the daughter of Elon the Hittite, but in Genesis 36, the Bible's gonna say Bashemeth is the daughter of Ishmael.
Okay, let me explain this to you. In that language, which is Aramaic at this point, they do not have a word for grandfather or grand uncle or grandniece or anything like that. It's same as father and son, father and daughter. So if you're the son of someone, even 3 generations back, you are still the son of them. Remember when Jesus was called thou son of David? David was not his father. Joseph was his dad, but God was his father. David was his great-great-great-great-grandfather. You see? 3 greats, I think. I might be wrong about that. Check me out.
Because no one at the Bible Factory keeps track of this stuff. Esau, in case you forgot, was the
I just kept track of it, so you're wrong again.
super hairy orangutan looking dude.
Well, he was very hairy and he had orange hair, red hair. I guess you could call that orangutangish.
Somehow, he found a wife, and then found another wife, which means there's hope for everyone.
No, it doesn't. Because you see, Esau was a wild man, and he would go out into the field and tackle a bull and beat it to the ground and drag it home by its horns and throw it on the table, and women kind of dig that, if you know what I'm saying, you little man. Women want to have a man that will feed them. That's the point of a man. That's the purpose in the aggression and the violence and all of the testosterone, is so that a man can go out and war or kill an animal or build a house or have the strength to carry shit from one place to another. Women can't do that. I mean, they can, but it's not as easy, I promise. They don't have the quick twitch fiber muscles and all that sort of thing. Too much fat. They are nurturers. They make babies and they make homes lovely and toasty. Men need that. Women kind of dig men that can go out and get some food. I doubt very seriously I'm going to see you tackling a bull any day soon. How about have your wife on the podcast? Let's talk to her. I guarantee you I'll get her to say things that will make you turn red because you didn't know she believed those things. I promise.
On Christian Mingle. This whole chapter is just a cheap reboot of stuff we've already heard with way less drama. How do you for him, even when...
I'm assuming you have a wife. I see a wedding ring. You might be married to a dude. I don't know. If that's the case, I apologize.
Lives without invitation, and now he's showing up to people's new homes. Well, just to get on... This is why I have no friends. Years old. Or because the women are Hittites. Or because some misogyny is just a constant disappointment to her. That passage just said Bashemeth was the daughter of Elon the Hittite, but dude, somehow he found a wife, and then found another wife, which means there's hope for everyone on Christian Mingle. Anyway. This whole chapter is just a cheap reboot of stuff we've already heard with way less drama. How do you jump the shark in the first book of the Bible?
You don't. Wow. Hey, Kev, what's happening? I love you too, April.
Genesis 27. A mother and her favorite son are about to screw the other child out of his inheritance. It's the biblical version of Knives Out. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son?" "Here I am," he answered. That whole last chapter was about how Isaac was blessed, and now he's dying. So much for those blessings.
You know that happens to every person that has ever existed on the face of this earth, or ever will exist. I don't know why people act like it's a surprise when it happens. You ever notice that? That everybody, I mean everybody, when somebody dies, they're like, "Oh, I thought we would live forever." No, people have been dying since the beginning of time. It's kind of part of life. Has nothing to do with the blessings.
Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me."
Now, you see, we were just talking about that. Seems like old dads like a little deer jerky, too.
"Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." "I'm dying. I can't see. I'm weak." "Give me that tasty, tasty meat, or else God is going to curse you."
He didn't say God would curse him. You're putting words in the Bible, and you shouldn't do that. Take my advice and read the last paragraph of the Bible, and you'll know why you shouldn't do that. I'd watch out if I were you. Don't add words to the Bible. Now, he's old. He's weak. He's dying. Naturally, you kind of want to feed him, right? You know, the meat, the fat, the carbohydrates, the energy from the meat might make him live a little better, might give him a little bit more energy.
Also, no one knows the day of their death. That's true even if you're dying. Unless you have an appointment with the firing squad, death is fairly unpredictable.
Like you've never said anything rhetorically.
So Isaac should not be holding that over anyone. Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you."
Now, who is responsible for the deception that's coming? Are you going to say it's Jacob? I bet you're going to say it's Jacob. Jacob's a little boy at this point. His mother is sliding him in under the radar. He is just doing what he's told. He doesn't know any better. He probably hasn't considered what this means yet. Just keep in mind who's actually doing the decision making here.
"Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Rebekah, you conniving sister wife.
Yep.
In chapter 25, verse 23, God told Rebekah that the older kid would eventually serve the younger one. And Lady Macbeth over here is clearly just rushing to fulfill that prophecy by tricking her almost blind husband into blessing her favorite child instead of his favorite
Yes, that's how people do sometimes.
child. The family dynamics here are just insane. Jacob doesn't even chime in with, "I don't know about this, Mama, that seems immoral." All he's gonna say is the plan may not work.
Well, you see, God made a promise, and he keeps his promises. It's not his fault that people are conniving. People are conniving by choice. You see, we have free will. That means you can do good or bad. It's up to you. Either way, God will keep his promise that he made.
Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing."
You see, he might have a little bit more intelligence than you think he does, because he's trying to get out of this. But a good son listens to his mother. You know, honor your mother and your father and all that. So maybe he does it out of loyalty. Who knows?
Not the reaction you would expect from a decent child. Jacob could have said, "No, mother, that would be deceptive and wrong." Instead, he goes with, "But Dad's gonna find out if he realizes I'm not a hairy red monkey, and this could all backfire."
That sounds like the same thing to me. Maybe a child isn't as articulate as you like him to be, but he's clearly showing that he doesn't think it'll work. He's clearly showing that he doesn't want to go through with it.
And consider what he's afraid of. If Daddy finds out I'm lying, he'll think I'm tricking him. "You are! You deserve to be punished!" His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me."
Now, you know that Abraham is the father of many nations. Most prevalently, I can talk, I'm not having a stroke, the Middle East. Sorry, I'm having allergies. I want you to consider how life is in the Middle East right now. I want you to consider what kind of world they live in. Constant wars and people beheading people and people destroying temples and taking lands, and it's just constant agony. That's not a good place to live. It's not very fertile. It's all brown. You go over there, you don't see green. It actually hurts your eyes because you're not used to seeing nothing green or blue. It's all brown. It's not a good place. And then you should ask yourself, why is it not a good place? Is not dirt the same everywhere? Is not the climate good enough to grow things, yet nothing grows? It's because that place is cursed. Because the people of that place have done some pretty bad things over the years, and they're paying a price right now. One of those things is what Jacob's mother just did. I'm not condoning it. I think it was wrong too. The reason they included this story in the Bible is so you would think it was wrong. It's a moral tale. But it doesn't matter because it's inconsequential to the end goal. It's just a small hiccup in the plan. The plan's going to work either way. Who knows? Maybe God designed it that way the whole time. I don't know. But what Jacob's mother did is clearly wrong. She'll pay the price for that, I promise.
I didn't know you could just pass along a curse like that. But okay, I guess we can continue with the baby goat slaughter. If Daddy's blind, he also won't notice one twin dressed up to look like the other, like this is a bad 80s movie. So he went and got them, and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food, just the way his father liked it. Then, Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. She gave Jacob Esau's clothes and put goat hair on his body. The Bible. It's an instruction manual for very incompetent criminals. Well,
I wouldn't say it was an incompetent criminal considering it worked. Would you? I mean, it worked. So.
Crappy costume, too. Forget looking more like your brother. Just slap this goat hair on the back of your hands and neck. Not your face or legs or chest or arms or wherever most people have hair. Why bother with that? He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing. This is never going to work. It's been like 2 minutes since Esau left the house. How do you murder an animal, prepare it, and serve it so quickly?
Nobody said it was quickly. Nobody. Matter of fact, there's no mention of how long it took. Just because it took you that long to read it doesn't mean that's how long it took. That's how stories work. They imply.
I know Isaac is blind, but he is not an idiot. Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord, your God, gave me success," he replied.
And now you see, you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain. And that's what he just did. Saying the Lord told you to do something that God did not tell you to do is what is meant by taking the Lord's name in vain. You can't do that. That's wrong. That's a sin. Jacob will pay a price for that. Watch and see.
Isaac almost figured it out. But Jacob knew the age-old Christian trick. Just give God credit and you'll get away with anything.
No, you won't. You might get away with it to the person you're doing it to, but I promise you're not going to get away with it forever. Because sooner or later you have to answer for the things you do. What goes around comes around, my friend. Remember that.
Always works. Somewhere, God is like, "Don't drag me into your web of lies." Oh, who am I kidding? I'm constantly telling people to deceive others. Then Isaac said to Jacob,
You point out one time where God told someone to deceive someone else. It isn't there. You're wrong. Just because people did it while they were trying to carry out something God set in motion does not mean that God told them to do it.
Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Oh, damn. Isaac knows something is up. What father would hear his son say, "I have something for you," and respond with, "Okay, but come closer because, I don't know, maybe your crazy mother dressed you up like your twin brother and I need to make sure that's not happening"? The plot has been foiled, Jacob. Just give up now. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. This is the dumbest family, I swear. "You sound like Jacob, but this glued-on goat hair feels just like my other son. I guess you must be him." Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate. And he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." Well, that got awkward quickly.
No, not if you kiss your children. Why, because you used the word kiss? Is that weird in your world? It's not weird in mine. I kiss my son all the time. I dare you to say something to me about it. I dare you.
I wonder if Abimelech is watching from his window. But okay, now the game is over, right? It's not just touching Jacob's arm. Isaac is about to get face to face with Jacob.
It's almost like Isaac knows that he's being deceived right now. You ever consider that? That maybe the old man ain't as dumb as you think he is? That maybe he's playing along for a reason? Did it ever occur to you that that could be the case? I'm just saying. Our kids don't always turn out like we pray that they will.
The jig is up. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." It worked. The dumbest criminal masterminds pulled it off. I can't believe it. Apparently, they never washed clothes in this household either. Just putting Esau's clothes on Jacob was enough to seal the deal. Your arms feel like Esau. Your clothes smell like Esau. You say you're Esau, and I'm an idiot. So we're good. The only thing that could screw this up now is like Esau walking back in unexpectedly.
Wonder if that's gonna happen.
After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Oh my God, it's happening! His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered, "your firstborn, Esau." Oh my God, I am so excited right now.
It kind of bothers me that you take so much pleasure out of this. It's almost like you think this proves your point. It doesn't. If there's a bad apple in the world, it's Rebecca. A woman, by the way. You know, one of those with a name. Part of the story. And, just because a deception occurred does not mean God does not exist. It means that people are wicked, and they always will be. Thank God we have a way around that, such as repentance.
Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." Help me out here, people. Isaac blessed Jacob accidentally. He didn't give Jacob cash. He didn't give him a car. He did this. Why is this some kind of ironclad agreement?
Because God makes a promise, he keeps a promise. And God promised him that when he blessed his children, that blessing would be carried out. He didn't do this, by the way. He did this. He spoke to him. He told him what his future would hold. That's the blessing. Did you bless your children? I blessed mine. I baptized mine. Did you baptize yours?
Just undo the blessing. Say the magic words in reverse or something. When Esau heard,
It's sad that you think that's how that works. This is not Harry Potter.
his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me, me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing."
Correction. You sold your birthright. It was your idea. He just capitalized on it. And he did steal your blessing. Neither one of you are good people at that point. Both of you will learn and become good men, but at this point, you're not good people. And by the way, God hated Esau before he was even born. So it's entirely possible that that deception was necessary. Because if Esau would have gotten that blessing, maybe the world would have turned out in a different way, a bad or a worse way. Maybe it was necessary. God does know what he's doing. I mean, we are still here.
Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" That last question is both sad and weird. It's a blessing.
No, I imagine it was heartbreaking because Esau thought that he was going to be blessed of his father. I imagine it broke his heart. I imagine he toiled over it for years. He gets over it, though. Eventually, he just loves his brother. But some things are hard to understand at first.
Blessing, not cake. There's not some finite amount to go around. It's not like Christians think God responds to prayers by saying, "Sorry, I can't help you today. Someone in Alabama just took the last one. Try again next week."
How would you know? How would you have a clue how God manages prayer? I doubt you do any praying. And if you did, I doubt you'd be sincere because of that wicked heart of yours. But maybe you should try it and see. Prove me wrong. Pray and find out how well it works.
Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son? I don't know, press Control Z? And even if Isaac said all that, it's been 2 minutes. Does Jacob already have a kingdom and slaves and food and wine?
Well, it's in the works, for sure. It has been for a while. That's why all that other stuff was going on in the past. Setting that up for Jacob. Or as it were, Esau.
He's probably standing outside the door in his makeshift goat costume. Just go tackle him. Esau said to his father, Do you only have one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept aloud. He's asking the right question. Dad, it's a blessing. Just give me one. It's fine. The crying is a nice touch. Asking nicely didn't work, so he's going for the emotional plea.
You get tricked out of your blessing and see how you feel about it.
Father Isaac answered him, Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck. That's not a blessing. Isaac is basically cursing the son who's already been screwed over his entire life. Esau did everything Daddy asked, but he gets no love. His future is nothing but a violent hellscape, at least for a while.
Might have something to do with where he comes from. You know, bloodline is important. Go back a little ways and see where he came from. You'll understand why God didn't like him so much. No, it's not his fault, but that's the breaks. That's them breaks. And he didn't curse him. He told him that you will have to serve your brother until you can't take it anymore, and then you'll throw you the yoke off, meaning no longer be his servant. Be his equal and share in his richness, and the brother will give it to him.
Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob.
Also the wrong approach. However, this is the kind of person Esau is. That's why God doesn't like him.
You know, I'm not saying killing is okay, but I say we let him have this one. Jacob is a little punk. Though I don't understand how he went from 0 to murder with no in-between. Why not just, not be Jacob's slave?
What does hold a grudge mean to you, and what does the word slave mean to you? You think he has a choice? He doesn't.
Esau lost his birthright because he was too hungry for stew. And he just lost the blessing because Isaac was too hungry for goat. This whole family has been screwed over because they just can't wait a second for dinner. And also, that means Esau could have had everything he ever wanted if he just stayed home and did nothing, which is what I have been telling myself during the entire pandemic.
I believe you. You're wrong, but I believe you think that.
When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, Your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back from there.
Forget what you did to him. You mean the thing I did because you told me to? That's not what I did to him. That's what you did to him. But probably a smart move to get out of the way for a while, because Esau is mad, and he has every right to be. But he'll get over it. It'll take a while, but he'll get over it. Life is going to be a little different from them from now on, and it's not going to be as pleasant as you think it would be to get to that blessing. Matter of fact, he's going to have to wrestle with God a little bit. Matter of fact, the word Israel means to wrestle with God. And as you know, Jacob's name gets transferred to Israel because he wrestled with God.
There. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Oh yeah, Esau is totally gonna forget this. It's not like this is the most significant thing that's ever happened in his life. Rebecca doesn't even bother apologizing to Jacob for putting him in the middle of this whole mess.
No, she blamed him for it. She's the bad guy, not Jacob. Remember, he's a boy. He did what his mother told him to do.
Just sends him away for a while. How long is a while? If it's just a few days, that seems like a weirdly short time for Esau's rage to boil over.
Well, considering that Jacob doesn't see Esau again until they're both old men, I'd say quite a long while that he doesn't ever get to be with his family again. Quite a long while.
This seems like a good time to remind everyone of how much the Bible hates women. Eve was tricked by a serpent. Noah's wife and Lot's wife never get names. Sarah was cruel to her slave Hagar. Lot's daughters sexually assaulted him. And now Rebecca is scheming to trick Isaac.
Now, go back through that list and tell me how many of those things are the Bible's fault. Sounds to me like you're naming the person whose fault it is. Every time. So you're aware of who actually did the wrong, but you're blaming the Bible because it wrote it down. Are you that dumb? I don't think you're that dumb. I hope you're not that dumb. I picked you because you seem to be a worthy adversary. Please tell me you're not that dumb.
There are more female role models in the Republican Party than in the Bible so far. Then Rebecca said to Isaac,
There you go again, bringing politics into this. What does the Republican Party have to do with the Bible? Nothing. Stop it. You're getting your ideologies crossed. Jesus. You want to throw some Black Lives Matter in there for good measure? Grow up.
I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living. Look at her pretending she had nothing to do with this family drama. She's acting like the victim when she's the instigator. Whatever happened?
Instigator means that she did it. It's her fault. She's the bad guy. Stop talking to her like she's nothing. You're the one being sexist here.
Happened to sweet Rebecca who gave water to strangers and camels?
She had a kid and wanted that kid to be successful. Most mothers would do things like this.
It was all an act. And why is she sad about sending away her own son after using him to lie and receive a blessing?
Because she'll never see him again, most likely.
She's afraid that by sending him to Haran, he'll find a Canaanite wife there and the bloodline will be ruined. She's deceptive and racist. If there's any silver...
That's not racist. It's not racist at all. They're the same race. Bloodline doesn't make race. You know that, right? Nationality makes race. Well, actually, where you're born makes race. What species you're born of. I guess bloodline does make race, but not in this context. These are the same peoples. They're just from different tribes.
Lining to this, it's that Rebecca will be punished for this. At least according to what's written in the Bible.
Don't listen to me, I'm functionally retarded.
This is the last time she will ever see Jacob. She just said goodbye to her favorite child, and she doesn't even know it.
Yeah, she does know it. That's why she's sad.
Just to wrap this all up, who are the good characters in this story?
Isaac.
Rebecca and Jacob just pulled off a heist, but they got what they wanted, at least for now. Esau did everything that was asked of him, and he got screwed over.
Did they, though? Did they get what they wanted? I don't think they did. I think you're going to find out in the next chapter their lives get pretty hard. They didn't exactly get what they wanted. It will work out in their favor, yes. But I think they're going to pay a hefty price for what they did. Esau, on the other hand, was hated by God for reasons, from where he came from to his feelings about his birthright. That's not going to bode well for him either.
Twice. Isaac was supposedly blessed, but he was nearly murdered when he was younger, can't even properly identify his own hairy son now, and spends his old age clamoring for meat. And God doesn't even show up in this whole mess. Moral of the story? Lying is fine, but only if you're guaranteed to get away with it.
Thou shalt not lie. One of the 10 Commandments. Just because they did it does not make it fine. They are in the wrong, clearly, and they will pay for it. You can't lie. Don't lie.
It helps when no one in the Bible is a good detective. And apparently, blessings are a limited resource in biblical times. Once you bless someone, your stash is depleted.
Well, that depends on what you consider a blessing. In this case, it's a finite amount of blessing because it's a promise made by God.
Genesis 28. Get ready for Jacob's ladder, the invention of tithing, and more incest. More incest was actually the original subtitle for the Bible.
No, it was not. Stop adding words to the Bible or you're going to pay the price.
Don't bother looking that up. I'm right. When we left off, Esau was screwed out of a blessing and eager to murder his brother Jacob. And Jacob was sent to live with his uncle to avoid being murdered. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Padan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there, from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessings given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham."
Making him heir apparent to the property. And no, he does not marry a Canaanite woman. He does as he's instructed to do.
Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. So Isaac is telling Jacob to run away before his brother murders him, and to go to his uncle's house so he can find a cousin wife, because incest never gets old in the Bible. And Isaac demands that Jacob not marry a dirty, rotten Canaanite.
He didn't say that. You said that. It's about bloodline, not about filth.
Because of ancient grudges
That makes you the racist, by the way, not him.
involving a drunk, naked Noah. How is that the only qualification for a wife in this family?
It's not. But if you live in a world where there's very few limits to your ability, very few people to choose from, you pick who you can. Also, this is before the law, so it's not incest. It's normal in these days.
I don't care if she's broke, ugly, and evil. Just no Canaanites. Is it weird that Isaac is calling on God to bless Jacob, given that God has pretty much been Isaac's enemy forever? He's not your friend, man. Let him go, Isaac.
No, you're wrong. God blessed Isaac because of their willingness to do what God had instructed. You got it backwards. God is his best friend, not his enemy.
And why are we blessing Jacob again, considering he just tricked you into blessing him in the last chapter?
Same blessing, just repeating it, that's all.
These people have such short-term memories. Speaking of which, this passage just referred to Laban, son of Bethuel. In the very next chapter, he's Laban, son of Nahor. No.
I've already explained this to you. It's a bloodline thing, and they didn't have a word for granddad. So yes.
One noticed in the Bible factory. And what's up with the line about giving Jacob and his descendants the blessings given to Abraham? Are blessings passed down from generation to generation?
Yes.
Are they genetic? Are they like heirlooms? Apparently they can't be divvied up amongst brothers, but they can be passed down from grandfather to grandson.
Yeah, that's how families work. It's called an inheritance.
Somehow. Now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and had sent him to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and had gone to Padan Aram. Esau then realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac, so he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath.
Who? Did Jacob or did Esau? You see, Esau is being bad again. He's going against his father's orders, which is one of the reasons God hated him. Jacob didn't do that. Jacob did what he was told.
Sister of Nebaioth and daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham.
And a minute ago, you tried to blame Jacob for what Esau did, which is exactly the point.
In addition to the wives he already had. I love that very last line. He got a wife. Oh, right, he already had a couple. Imagine being in his shoes.
Yeah, it's called polygamy, and they practiced it in those days.
2. He just found out his parents hate Canaanites, and his 2 current wives are both Canaanites.
They do not hate Canaanites. They are of a different bloodline, and if you marry them, your bloodline diverts. Therefore, the promise can't be handed down. You see? You got to keep the bloodline straight for the promise to go through it. That's why it's so important to them.
He is such a disappointment. But his new plan is third wife's a charm. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. All those blessings and this guy needs to sleep on a rock? Really? You know what would be interesting? If he dreamed about anything that did not involve God. Not gonna happen.
No, because that's not what's being told here. Does that bother you, you smug little shit? Maybe you should pay attention.
He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There, above it, stood the Lord, and he said, "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring."
Yes, and of those people, you and I both are one. And we receive those blessings.
"I am with you, and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you."
Now, when you get done with this book, go back and read what those blessings are. Read them out loud. Say them to yourself a few times. And then consider your life. And you will realize that you have benefited from those blessings. Go back and read them. Find out what those blessings are, because they go to you and your offspring. And you have benefited them. You are here in the land of plenty, of milk and honey, with all the options available to you. Go spend some time in the Middle East. Tell me you're not blessed.
That's it? That's the famous Jacob's Ladder? That was anticlimactic.
Wasn't supposed to be climactic. We're not watching a movie here. This is real life, and that's what occurred. By the way, that pillar that he laid his head on, the queens and kings of the world have been being coronated on it for the last 2,000 years. It sits right now under the throne of Queen of England. It's called the coronation stone, or the stone of Scone, which came from Jacob's Ladder. And it spent a little time in Scotland, and it was they were trying to pillage it and steal it, so the Scots took it outside and put it on a park bench out in front of the castle, where it sat for almost 100 years, and people would come by and sit on it, had no idea while they were trying to steal it from the inside of the castle, they would stop and sit on it and make their plans to go in and steal it. Pretty smart. And now, all of the kings of England, all the way down the line, have been coronated on that stone. It's pretty important, the blessings of Abraham.
It's just a ladder to heaven that angels climb, which, by the way, sounds like an intense workout, and another reason heaven sounds horrible. Who wants to climb ladders all day?
Ladder is a metaphor. It's actually a vortices, and there's 12 points on this earth which do that, incidentally. 12 places. They're called vortices, or energy ley lines. Follow the ley lines, you'll go to one of those intersections.
Every day, for eternity. We're never told how long the ladder is exactly, which would at least be interesting to know.
Yes, we were told how long it was. It reached from the ground to heaven. However long that is, that's how long it was.
What if it's only like 10 feet and no one knew? Heaven is a basketball rim away. The rest of his dream is just everything God tells everyone in his family all the time.
I think heaven is right in front of your face. I think it's so close that you couldn't get water between you and it. That's what I think. I might be wrong, but that's what I think.
How boring. And why does God introduce himself as the God of Abraham and Isaac? Who are the other gods we might have chosen from? When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. It's a dream, buddy. Doesn't mean it's real. Relax. Early the next morning,
it's a prophetic dream, and it's very real.
Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel.
That oil was olive oil, and he used it to anoint the rock that he slept upon. This is something that our people do. We anoint with olive oil. The olive oil is the symbol of our people. Remember that.
Though the city used to be called Luz. He anointed his rock pillow.
Yes.
That is about as pointless as giving your sex doll a name.
Well, considering that it is the thing that all the kings and queens have been coronated on, I wouldn't say that's pointless. I would say that's part of God's plan. God is the one who sets up authority.
It doesn't know what's going on. And I feel bad for you. Also, he called it Bethel. But it's already called Bethel. We heard the name in Genesis 12 and 13. You can't take credit for it now.
It's a book. You wouldn't know what you were talking about unless you used its name. This is when it got its name. Just because you knew its name does not mean that it was named that before.
Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. That is quite the if-then statement. If God helps me, then I'll believe in him.
Well, you see, it's programmed into mankind to barter, and so it's natural for a man to go, I want something, I know it isn't free, so I'll do this for it. That's natural.
Yeah, well, me too. What if God only gives him food, but not clothes? Then will Jacob believe, or does that somehow make him agnostic? Did Jacob just make a promise to a stone pillow?
No.
Because, again,
he made a promise to God over the stone pillow. Because God showed him that that pillow was important.
It's not listening. And look, we have the invention of tithes. If God blesses me, I will give God a tenth of my stuff.
Maybe you should try it. See how it works out for you. Are you willing to part with a tenth of your earnings? Gross, not net. He was.
He could have said a 1/. saved us all a lot of money. Or he could have just had faith and promised God nothing because he's God and he's not in need of cash.
He could have, but he didn't. So there's that.
Why give so much away? That is a horrible first offer. I don't get to say this often when it comes to the Bible, but it's true this time. It was all a dream. It's just too bad some people can't distinguish between their imaginations and reality. But that explains how religion still works today.
No, it doesn't. Because the belief in God is not a religion. It's the religious people that build the thing around the belief of God that is the religion. Knowing what God says is truth and living your life according to it is not religion. That's believing in God. Being a member of a church that has certain practices and traditions of men, that's a religion. And all of them are wrong. All of them. All right. Please, if you wouldn't mind, press that like button and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Get notifications when I'm going to be here. Follow the links in the description below and leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Tell me how you feel. Challenge me. Question me. Curse me. It doesn't matter. Bring it on. I'll take it. But if you like this ministry and we've helped you and you want us to keep helping you, please support us by going to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It's a tax write-off, and we sure do appreciate it because these are hard times we're living on. Now, I'm fixing to take your questions, but I've got to do something real quick. So if you'll hang on for 1 second and listen to me play guitar, I'll be back in just a second. I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to take care of some business. I am eating some homemade chili. Man, that sounds good. Enjoying the podcast. Great job. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you, buddy. He is funny. Yes, I is. Oh, you mean the other guy. I love you, True. You did awesome. Thank you. I love you, too. I see a bunch of pats on the backs and thank yous and smiles and claps and praises, but no questions. Okay. All right. What y'all think about that guy? He just don't seem to understand how the world works. I'm getting him there, though. I'll whip him into submission sooner or later. I'd like to have some of that chili. Sounds wonderful. I've got some white cheddar cheese. I'm thinking about putting on an egg myself a little bit later on. That'll be my dinner. Some eggs and toast. And some white cheese. Yum, 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 yum. Maybe a glass of milk. All right, getting back to what we were talking about before at the beginning. That movie is called Bad Georgia Road, 1977, and it's a very well-aged movie, and it's very funny. I think you'll enjoy it. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free if you're interested. Yeah, he doesn't understand that that world and this world are not the same world. I saw Darlene last night, and she is doing good. I'm glad to hear that. Since she is not on, I will say her line. I hate that atheist. Well, I wish somebody was in there with a phone that could let her watch it anyway. Let her listen to it. Because I know she enjoys it. I think she enjoys Monday night better, though. I don't think she likes this guy very much. I don't blame her. I don't like him a whole lot either. But I'm grateful that he's letting me use his material so that I can dismantle it. Takes a big man to allow somebody to tear you apart. So for that, I'm grateful. Oh, things have been really busy the last week, but I took the day off. Did very little today. I didn't even go to the store. I'm going to have to go later. But starting Monday, first thing in the morning, I'm hitting the bricks. I got to get moved. But I got to fix my truck first. So that's what I'll be doing Monday, is fixing my truck. I might have it done by 1 or 2 o'clock, depends. Then I'll start packing up. Hopefully I'll be on Monday night. That's the reason I'm telling you that. I will let her hear tomorrow, Monday nights. Good. I'll be here. I'll make it happen. I might be greasy, but I'll be here. I'll just have to keep my hands down so you can't see all the grease under my fingernails. But please do let her hear it, because I think that'll give her spirits to help get through this. Thank you, honey. I need all the prayers I can get. Thank you so much. And I'm praying for you guys too, believe that. Friday night, I said something to Kevin I don't think he heard because he never responded to it. But I told him I was going to send him some money this next time and have him go to the casino for me. And I asked him if he was game, but he never responded. I was joking, of course, but I thought it was funny. He seems to have good luck. I don't have good luck. If I went to the casino, I'd owe him $1,000 before I even got in the door. I don't even want to look at a casino. I'm terrified of them. Sports update. I've been wondering about that. Georgia beat Mississippi State Saturday night. Dolphins lost Denver Broncos. Today, Bucks are on MNF. Woo! Hyperbowl. I'm working on that graphic, by the way. I hadn't quite got it done yet. I've had other things come up that kept me occupied, but I'm working on it. He didn't. He was busy doing something. I don't know. I need to go, but I'm down on money. Well, I said I'd send you some money. I was joking, but anyway, I thought it was funny. It's kind of lost its funny now, but it was funny at the time. I don't know how you do that, though, because the few times I've ever gambled has always been because I needed it. You know, I really needed it. So I would get like my last $5 and go buy a lottery ticket or something. I never win, ever. I had to quit doing that when I was young because I lose every time. Me and gambling just don't get along. But if I could find a way to reliably do it, I'd be doing it every day. Or, you know, if there was like a game that paid out more often than it didn't, or it was economical to do so, I'd be hitting it like a crackhead. But those things don't work for me. It's not in my blessing. I was blessed with protection and knowledge. None of that had anything to do with luck. So that's one of the gifts I didn't get. Yes, I do the same thing. If I have money, I make it. Weird, huh? Well, if you can make money doing it, do it. I can't make money doing it. I lose every time. Some people, I've known people that'll go buy a roll of lottery tickets and win like $5,000. I've never seen $20 from a lottery ticket. The best I've ever done was earned my money back that I spent. But I never got ahead, not one bit. And I went through a whole roll one time and didn't win. I just won back what I spent. That's it. But blessed is our gifts, yes. And we each have certain gifts. Little Mike is a lucky joker. I've heard several times about him winning the lottery. I just don't, that's not my gift. I can't do it. But by the same token, saying that I can't win like poker or anything like that, I lose every time. If I bet on something, I lose it. But I am the same guy that can walk outside and walk straight to a $20 bill laying on the ground, and I've done that more than once. And it's usually exactly what I need. Yeah, I know he has bad luck too, but it comes with the gambling, you know. You win some, you lose some. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Know when to walk away and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. Can't win if you do not play. That's true. That is true. But I have played and I lose. So I'm aware of that. I'm not trying to hurt myself. So if I get the notion to gambling, I'll send the money to somebody I know will win. More than likely. Because it ain't me. I walk into a chalk factory and come out looking like a spade. I was surprised by the atheist not understanding the meaning of the blessing. That was bizarre. Yeah, it seems like he's trying to place his own interpretations on things when it's very clear what's being said. Like, he took the word blessing but didn't listen to any of the things the blessings were. And they do that so that they can't claim to know that they're a recipient of that blessing. It's kind of a straw man argument, if you ask me. Because if you're conscious of it and you're aware of it, then you ought to know you're blessed. Look around you. This is the best place on earth to live. We are most definitely blessed in this country. And as long as we keep God in the forefront, we'll continue to be blessed. It's looking like that's not going to happen much longer, but at the moment, we are blessed. Amen. Hallelujah. It just trips me out, man. I don't know what to think about some of the things he says. It is real. I know it is. I know I'm blessed because I'm aware of the blessings. Because the Bible describes God's gifts. A spade, that's right. Walk into a chalk mine, come out looking like a spade. Sometimes I believe he is intentionally trying to take the words out of the Bible and turn them into some crazy meaning when it is just simple. He most certainly is. You're absolutely right. He does it a lot. He'll say the wrong thing, and then 10 minutes later he'll say the right thing like he knew it all along. He's doubling up on himself. That's not a way to have an ideology. If you're going to believe something, at least have it make sense all the way through, be a coherent belief system. He's just picking and choosing. But he knows the truth also. This guy is not an atheist. This guy hates God. But he absolutely believes in God. I can tell by the way he talks about him. You got a way with words. I like when you get him. Thank you. I do have a way with words. Yeah, he absolutely believes in God. He just hates him. Hates what he stands for. That's a little different than being an atheist. That's how I read him anyway. I might be wrong, but that's what I think. And me, I believe in God and I reverence God, but I don't believe in God because I was told to. I believe in God because I set out to find out whether he was real or not. And I found out. It took me 30 years, but I found out. Do I think he hates himself? There's some self-loathing there for sure. It seems like it anyway. He really hates women. Look at how he talks about them. Like they're incapable of standing on their own 2 feet. He's a white knight is what he is. Anytime you have a white knight, one of those allies of women, feminists, male feminists. If you have a male feminist, you can start the clock on a rape charge. Mark my words. That guy is a wolf in sheep's clothing. You don't see any other explanation other than he doesn't like his life. I'm guessing there's some trauma in his childhood somewhere. You don't have a hatred for God like that just out of the gate. You come to it over time. My guess is that he's real arrogant and he thinks very highly of himself. And he's disappointed when God doesn't work for him at his request. So he grows a hatred for God. Maybe something bad happened to him and he prayed that it wouldn't and it did anyway. Because some people can't handle the fact that sometimes the answer is no. God heard your prayer, but he's not always going to approve it. He knows what you have need of more so than you do. I don't know about that. That's it, probably, Jake. That would be my guess. You may be a Bama fan. Hey, watch your mouth. Anybody still waves the rebel flags, all right in my book. That may be his problem. I've known a lot of them like that, where they don't get the answer they're seeking, and rather than taking the humble road, they just turn against God. That won't last long either. And also, you can't tell the future. This guy may be so far away from God, and next year he may be a Christian. he may see the light. I hope he does. I hope he does before it's too late. Because there is a point in time where it's too late. You're a good judge of character. He means Obama. Well, there's a difference between Obama and Bama with a capital B. But yeah, he's most definitely an Obama fan. He totally voted for Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris, our next actual president. Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing him. But I kind of think Trump's going to win, though. I kind of think he's got an ace up his sleeve, but I might be wrong. I'm going to hold out until the very end. I say he's going to win. I'm putting that energy out there. I'm not for 1 second saying it's over or he's going to lose. He's going to win right up to the very end. And then if he loses, so be it. But I'm not putting that bad energy out there. That juju can stay hidden. Because I think we're in real trouble if he loses. Because I don't know if you've heard of the Great Reset or not, but that's what's happening right now. And the Great Reset is not a good thing for our country. Look it up. Look into it. Make up your own mind. But just know that is very much the language that Joe Biden is using right now. Yeah, I pray for Trump to win too. I mean, for all of the hatred that's been poured in his direction over the last 4 years, he is the first American president in history that I'm aware of that hasn't gotten us into a war. At least in a very long time. And he's bringing troops home for the first time in 20 years. There's people in Afghanistan right now that were not born when that war started. Yeah, look into the Great Reset. You can find some videos about it on YouTube. They'll explain it pretty good. It's a plan that's been in the making for about 20 years now. Started in England. It's what I would consider the beginning of the one world government, including the planned pandemic and the forced vaccinations that are coming around the corner. All of those things are part of it. But look into it. Educate yourself. I plant the seed, you water it. I tell you what I know, but I don't have the energy to draw out the schematics and show you how I found out. Sooner or later, you'll grow to trust me because I'm right more than I'm wrong. I was wrong once, but I can't remember when. I'm kidding. They tell me I was wrong, but I think they were lying. Well, I'm about to walk my butt to the store and get me some cigarettes. I hope you guys had a good time tonight. I had a good time, and I can't wait till tomorrow when I get to see my Aunt Darlene. I know she ain't going to be typing, but I'll know she's there, and I'll say some words to her. I might even pray over it a little bit. Okay, wouldn't want you to on here anyways. You'll be here all night. Say that. Repeat that. That didn't make sense. It's okay. Wouldn't want you to on here anyways. You will be here all night. Jake, I love you. You'll be typing. Thank you. I love you too. What did you mean the previous comment? I don't quite understand. It's okay. Wouldn't want you explaining that to me. Oh, yeah. Well, it would be miserable. I'm telling you. I try not to mansplain too much. A lot of the things I know, you have to understand how I function, okay? I'm going to say some things here that are going to sound very much like a brag. Please don't take it that way because I don't mean it that way. It's the only way to tell you how it works. I'm a genius. I have an IQ of 165. That's right around Einstein levels. Only I'm not a mathematician. I suck at math. My genius is in general knowledge and pattern recognition. I can see things that other people can't see. I can put things together that other people seem to miss for some reason. That being said, I can't manage money and I'm broke all the time. So it comes with its drawbacks. I'm not saying that it's anything good. It's just I've been hitting the head one too many times and I've rewired to see things a different way. So the way that I learn things is I gather a whole bunch of information from a whole bunch of different sources over a period of time. I just consume documentaries and news articles and just all kinds of crap. And because I have a photographic memory, that's not right. I have a photogenic memory. I remember most things. I don't remember everything. Because I have a photogenic memory, I can begin to, by osmosis without thinking about it, because my brain works in two separate ways. I have a conscious and a subconscious, and my subconscious never stops. So it begins to piece things together. And then I'll wake up one morning and just realize some shit. It seems to work that way with me. I don't ever consciously do the work. My brain is doing it while I'm sleeping or something, or watching TV or whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just understand something. And then I'll say it, and then people will be like, well, how do you know that? I can't tell you how I know that. I don't even know how I know that. But I'm right. And it's not because I'm right, it's because that's what's happening, and I just happen to see it. So when I say outlandish things, please check me out. Don't take my word for it. I don't know whether I'm right or not. I just know what's in my head, and it comes out of my mouth. I have no filter. What's in my brain comes out of my mouth. I can't stop it. So if I say some shit, check it out. You'll find out whether I'm right or not. But I got a pretty good track record, so I'll take that. And I'm not necessarily saying that for your benefit, April. I'm just saying it because if people watch this video, they need to know how I function so that they can trust me or not. Right, that's why you are truly a beautiful soul. Thank you. And God knows that he's going to keep blessing this podcast. I certainly hope he does. I can't wait till the people start coming in. I haven't even started advertising it yet. I just been doing it to learn how. This year coming up, I'm going to be doing everything, pushing it out hard as I can. Right now, really the only people that come to it are the people that know about it. If you don't know about it, you don't know to come to it, and YouTube's not propagating it, so because I didn't monetize the channel, because I don't want commercials on my content. I'll rely solely on donations. Maybe I'll put out another series somewhere down the road that I'll monetize, and once I build an audience. But it won't be this one or the one on Monday. Those are free. If you want to donate, donate. If you don't, it's free. I think that's the only way to put the word of God out. You're not supposed to charge for God's word. So I pray more follow. Me too. Thank you. And thanks for the vote of confidence. But just so you guys know, That's where the information is coming from, somewhere up here without my consent. It ain't like I'm doing it. It just happens. So if I tell you that there's voter fraud, you can argue with me all you want, but you're going to find out that they cheated. And so did the Republicans, by the way. It's not like only one side's done it. It's who did it more. That's what matters. And why can't we fix that and get back to a more honest way of voting in our presidents? Who likes ads? I don't. I do not like ads, and I don't want them on my Christian channel. So I didn't monetize either one of them. I might monetize my podcast, the old one. I might do that once people start reaching in and watching them. But I'm not going to monetize the Monday and Sunday night. I just don't think that'd be right. It was given to me for free. How am I supposed to charge somebody else for it? Thank you. I appreciate you too. And I know it's a real fact. I see you show up every time I show up, and that means the world to me. It gives me something to do. It gives me a purpose. I am building something here, though. This isn't just for me and you. This is for the world. Mostly it's for my children. Because one day they're going to want to know who their daddy is. And they'll be able to find out. That's something I never had. My daddy didn't leave me any messages. I want my children to know where my heart stands and where theirs should stand. And your children too. This is for all of our children. So I don't care if anybody watches it. It'd be nice if they did. If I could make a living doing this, then I wouldn't be broke and miserable. But I don't really care because this is for our family. Somebody needs to do it. And nobody's doing it right now that I can see. Not in an honest way. I know there's lots of people preaching, but most of them are running businesses. I'm not running this like a business. I'm running it like a free service. Like a public access channel. If there be funding, it'll come from the people who want it to continue. It won't be because I asked for it. Or insist upon it. That's for sure. Family's the most important thing in the world. And I preach family. I say, all you young people out there, get married, make babies. That's what that thing's for. If you don't believe me, you keep playing with it. You'll find out. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They say that the family that prays together stays together. That's not entirely true, unfortunately, but it's a good philosophy. It's a good place to start. All right. One last time with the little thingies. Stop it. My mouse died, so I've got a spare mouse, and it wants to keep cutting in and out. Press all the buttons, do all the things, and follow all the links. Go to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. I love you guys. I got to go get some smokes. I'll see you Monday. Bells on and grease rolling. Have a great night. God bless you.